Hello, my fellow readers. I Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction review or fair fanfiction reviews. As always, a link to the stories will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story, and finally, my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, the two stories I'm doing a review of today are Chasing Smoke by Greyguard Pony and Lords and Ladies by Void Knight. These are two of the Lunaverse. These are actually the last two stories of the World Tour arc I mentioned before, because after this, they do the season technically goes into summer and then just kind of ends abruptly. We'll get to that when I get to that. So, what is these stories about? Well, Chasing Smoke and Lords and Ladies, I will say, they do kind of suffer a bit. Mainly because these take place after Contest of Champions. And Contest of Champions was really, really good. Like, really good. So these ones don't really measure up to that. However, both of these stories have a really, really big flaw in them. I'll talk about that when I get to that. But for now, let's actually talk about the actual plot. So the plot of Chasing Smoke actually stars the main six going to the land of Nakwa, which is the land of camels, and I think it's based off the Middle East, specifically Agrabah or India, whichever order, because they get a tip that the Nakwa embassies, or specifically the Sultan, finds out that a man by a camel. I gotta actually find the name of the damn guy. Oh, I think it's Olev Gree. Olef, Alif. He's Alif. I think it's this. I think it's the second chapter. Uh, where is? Oh, one second. All right, here he is. Emir Griv. Basically, if the Emir is the title, Emir Olef Griv, is now working with Corona by orders of the Voice, because he kind of shows up here too, to find this bottle that is filled with an army of weaponized jinn. Basically, jinn is the camel equivalent to like unicorns using magic and all that. The army of smoke and fire is basically just a portable army that you kind of just move behind bars. You let loose. It summons an infinite number of jinns, and if you beat one, they go back in the bottle and they come back out, and it just never ends. In the the Emir wants to use this army to kind of curry favor with Corona, and also to take over the country of Nakwa. This is very much a conservative versus liberal sort of idea, because he's like, because the Emir is very conservative, and the Sultan is like very, very liberal in their ideologies, more or less. The reason why Emir wants to take over is because of the Emir is a very much a camel supremacist, and doesn't really like the idea that the Sultan has given like better rights to the buffalo and the ponies who live in Nakwa, and also the griffins who live in Nakwa. But the big thing is mostly like uh, education. The Sultan wants to do like actual schooling, stuff like that, while Olaf is focused more on like religious teaching, which is more, I guess, makes sense since it's like based off the Middle East, which means probably like Islam. Like if you want to apply that to like real world logic, Muslim Islamic beliefs. I know nothing about like Islamic like teachings, or even if they do school or something like that. I don't know. But the main six agree to go help the Sultan out, and they meet with this guy named Parnak, who is basically a very, very smarky asshole. Right? I had like a really big yawn. I don't want to interrupt that. So going back to the story, the idea of education really starts to tick off Charlie. So they try to help the Sultan and Pakwa as much as they can, and they're led to this place called Yagan's book. What the hell is her name? Pakwa Yangan? Yeah, Yangan. I can't remember what the first. Yeah, I'll just say Yangan. Yangan, who is actually this random camel who owns like a little curio shop. There's a lot of fighting that happens in the store between the main six and the Emir. Yin Yangan is revealed to be a jinn who basically tells everyone, "Get out of my store! Get out of my lawn! I got a rug. I'm not going to use it." Doesn't even want to use her powers. She'd rather just assume death by rug. I just pictured like a big ass camel decided to just walk up to someone. They're staring at each other, and then the camel just pulls out a rug and says, "You could get it." Just start smacking the guy with the rug. So what happens is the Emir and Kindle manage to get this little booklet, which has the last location of the army of Smoke and Fire, and they take it with them. Charlie, and this is the part I don't like about the story, Charlie takes Yangan's bracelet, which also doubles as her lamp. Basically, Jin have like different sorts of lamps and stuff like that. Yangan's is just a bracelet instead of like the traditional lamp. Yangan, justified, gets pissed when Charlie puts the bracelet on her hoof and orders her around, basically treating it like slavery. Now, I will defend this decision narrative-wise because if you look at it from the point of view in the moment, Charlie is being very pragmatic. They lost the only lead they really had to the Emir and Kindle. They couldn't take any chances. They know that Yangan more than likely knows where this army is. And so in the moment, decides, hey, I'm going to. Oh, and also the fact that they know Charlie knows Yangan doesn't seem to want to play ball. So it's like, okay, grab the bracelet, force Yangan to bring him to the army of Smoke and Fire. They break the bottle containing that, and it's like you can go free. I have no problem narrative-wise with that. What I have a problem with, and this honestly destroys my enjoyment of Charlie's character in these stories, is what happens after. So, more or less, around this chapter, they're on their way to the mountains where they trying to get to like the Cal State former capital. Ditzy calls out Charlie saying, "You're basically enslaving Yangan. She doesn't want to be like this." Charlie at first, sorry, it's almost 9. I'm like very exhausted and I haven't been sleeping well. Ditzy immediately calls Charlie out on this, saying you're essentially enslaving Yangan and you need to let her go. Charlie eventually, starts by doing the whole pragmatism. It's like, I was panicking. We lost like their only real lead, and Yang wasn't really cooperating. I kind of had no choice. What happened was, if we go down, where is it? It's around here. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dipsy, but we needed to find a way to find the army of Smoke and Fire. I didn't think I could track down Grieving Kindle, a single that I knew. It's a very weak argument. Like you can make the argument. It's like, okay, it's pragmatism. Yeah, but not only did this argument didn't really handle, because there's so many ways of better handling it. But then she goes, I did what I had to. Why? Why would you write this? You could have just assumed the pragmatic. You could have had Shirley write, I panicked. I didn't want to. I'm gonna let her go when this whole thing's over. You could even do like a little tension thing, like Ditsy trying to like lightly pressure Charlie into letting go of the bracelet, which it wouldn't really change the end result because at the end of the story, Yangin. Well, Charlie loses the bracelet. Kendall actually grabs it and brings it to Corona. So now Yangin is stuck with Corona and all that jazz. Like, it's such a weird decision to write this story, like write this explanation specifically, because it makes Charlie seem less like a pragmatic character, because that's essentially Charlie's thing in a lot of the stories, is that she has a very pragmatic mindset. It's not even this story. It was Sergeant Who's, which she would be very pragmatic and kind of getting out of hand. What's another story? Constant Champions. Technically, her storyline with Silk Cage, that's more pragmatism, because she was looking like, okay, what can be done in the moment, and all of that. And while I can defend Charlie getting the bracelet, I can't defend this sentence, because it essentially just doesn't make her a pragmatist. It makes her like an asshole, and like a non entertaining way. Like the whole, like with Pinkie Pie at the beginning of uh, Super Easy. No, yes, Super. I'm trying to remember the episode. It's the episode that introduced the Flynn brothers. Super Easy Cider Squeezy 9000. I think that's the name of the episode. So they do eventually find the bottle, and they get into a fight with the Emir and Kindle. It turns out one of Yangin's sisters is there, because there was like a entire small group of sentient jinn that were like created, and Yangin was one of them, and her sisters were one of them. And then they got betrayed, because the sister is like, "Oh, you didn't bother looking." It's like, "We thought you died." He's like, "Did you look here?" Not really. Yeah, yeah. Here, take her. Kindle goes away. They do also run into these beings called the ghouls, which are like these hunchback, large, vulture-like creatures that also seem to worship Tirek. And it's such a weird decision. I think the story is fine. Out of the last 5 stories, this is probably the best one plot-wise, because it at least has a plot, and it also at least trying to be its own thing by itself, which I can't say the same for all four of these last stories, because all those stories all have like the thing where they're all meant to tie into the finale, while every single story up to Chasing Smoke can be read by itself. The other 4 stories only really work if a finale existed. And guess what? A finale didn't exist. It doesn't exist. But I think the plot is fine. Characters. There's only 2 characters to talk about. That's Panak and Yangin. I like both of these 2 characters. They're very snarky and hilarious. Pankin basically just like he runs into Terrorwing, and it's like, you will not go anywhere. It's like, what's your name? Terrorwing. 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 You know, that name's too long. I'm just calling you Terry. It's like, oh, it's on. Oh, it's on. Yeah. I'm gonna show you what this camel can do. And he's just a snarky. He doesn't appear that often. Well, he is their guide, so he doesn't appear. But he doesn't really have much of a character arc. Yankin, on the other hand, is also pretty hilarious. She's basically a 14 plus 100-year-old Jin, and she's basically just kind of living her life, just selling knickknacks. It's like, I will sell you this. It's like, this says made in Showa. It's like, oh, everything could be a priceless artifact. Yeah, yeah. And whacking people with rugs and stuff like that, trying to get them out of her store. And then she justifiably feels like indignation when Charlie grabs the bracelet and is really, really pissed when not only is like she's technically held captive, but even when Ditsy is trying to like calm her down, like kind of see her like, I'm gonna convince Charlie to kind of let you go. She's constantly ignored and rebuffed mainly by Charlie, because guess what? Charlie has the bracelet, so Yangan has to follow Charlie. And of course, Yangan justifiably is fine with working for Grona. It's like, I don't care. I'm not dealing with that fucking mad pony anymore. Okay. I think, and also Yangan's also incredibly snarky. She's very hilarious, and just everything she says is like a very bitter, sarcastic edge. It's like, oh yeah, you didn't think of that, yeah, did ya? It's like, fine, don't listen to Yangan, despite she being 1400. Weren't you the one who picked the fight with Luna? I don't know. Wasn't I the one who also picked the fight with gave Princess Luna a black eye? Good point. Good point. I also was drunk at the time, so I was like, I can deal with it. I don't like like I said, I don't really like what they did with Charlie, because I think they just kind of made her an asshole for no reason. And this story did try it. Oh wait, same author tried to fix the whole thing, and it still didn't fall flat, because you didn't really the author didn't address the issue. But yeah, I don't really have the characters introduced are fine. But this was kind of like, this is where it was starting to like, it's starting to like hammer in and narrow in for the end game, and it just doesn't really work. Luckily, it is separate enough from like the rest of the other four stories that it's like, it's fine. But this is where it starts, that it's starting to like narrow into the end game, which never came to pass. Grammar errors. I didn't see any grammar errors. Pacing issues. I didn't see any pacing issues. I think the story was paced perfectly. It could have maybe went on a little longer, but I think it's fine for what it is. Not every story, like around 50,000, is fine. I can't say the same about this story. Oh boy, where do we start? Where do we start with Lords and Ladies? Let's start with the fact that this takes place in Eldheim. It only shows Frederick. Well, and also Andrea at the end, because Andrea's just kicking around. But no Sigurd, and definitely no Wudan! Where is Wudan? We need that son of a gun moose! Where is he? So what's this story about? Oh, this story is a mess. Oh. Okay, so the plot of this story is Carrot Top and Lyra, being that, which makes sense considering the fact these are the two characters that were tied to the Elkheim characters in Contest of Champions. This story is completely tied to Contest of Champions. You need to read this story to get this story, and then this story is supposed to tie into finale. And guess what? Finale never finished. Carrot Top and Lyra are invited to Helkheim by Prince Frederick, who, in this story, still has a crush on Carrot Top, despite the fact that in Contest of Champions, they broke up amicably. Which makes sense, because the story was finished long before Contest of Champions was finished. That's why I hate these types. That's why I hate these types of anarchistic writings because they will always end up contradicting themselves and just fucking each other over. And this story is like This story is the biggest purveyor of. Okay, you completely fucked up the entire canon because guess what? Everything from the previous story from this story completely contradicts everything in this story. Why? So, Frederick invites Carrot Top and Lyra. Okay, makes sense because again they're tied into Elkheim with Lyra being a bard and defeating Hendria, and Carrot Top technically being friends with Frederick, or in this case, crushes with Prince Frederick. They go to Elkheim because the Fae Court, which are a group of little like fairies and stuff like that, have made deals with Luna and Corona's trying to create favor for the Fae, and Elkheim's like, well, okay, but you also owe Prince Luna favors. So Lyra and Carrot Top are brought there too in order to technically talk to the Fae. And so what do the Fae do? They technically give a series of contests where each of them have like a mission. It's like, okay, we owe you a favor, but you'll play a series of games, one for each Fey Lord, one Fey Lord per season, so spring, summer, fall, and winter, in that order. And whoever wins gets that favor towards that princess. Seems simple enough, except one, despite the fact that Elkheim was the land where this story takes place. It mostly takes place in the Feylands, and the Feylands are like completely unknown in the. All right, so here's the thing: all the World Tour stories is they basically expanded upon different cultures. So chasing smoke focused on like Nakwa culture and their wither and how they live and stuff like that. Despite the fact Lords and Ladies technically take place in the Fey realms, the author doesn't really do anything with like Fey culture. Besides the fact that technically like concepts are actually like real. Like there's a joke where this Lord of Spring is like making like a bakery sell the Pinkie Pie. Some fucking how. And she's like, oh well, I got a little vial of happiness. Here you go. I'll give my cupcakes. Here you go. It's just weird. Like, I get like the whole point is the Fays are more or less supposed to be more based off of Nordic mythology, like Jotunheim or something like that. But it's not. They're not really expanded upon. Just very shallow. Besides, they owed Luna and Celestia favors, and they're just doing these contests to kind of see which princess gets the favors. It's honestly such a mess continuity wise because one, the author should have went back, redid the story, made Carrot Top and Frederick actually romantically together because again they amicably decided not to pursue a relationship at the end of Contest Champions. In this story, they're still considering pursuing the relationship. Second off, there's a character who's related to Bobby Fischer here, and despite the fact Bobby Fischer's is supposed to be like Russian ponies, he speaks with a German accent. I wanted a Russian pony, not Ludwig von Koopa in a fucking fursuit. There's your curse images for the night. The story is not really entertaining. The plot's not really entertaining because it ties too much in a story that just does not exist. And even then, at the end of the story, it just ends on a gag where Pinkie Pie shows up at Corona's. No, one of the Fays shows up at like Corona's place. Like, oh, a mayor named Pinkie Pie wanted me to give you a gift. It's like, oh, what's it? There's a pie in Corona's face. Why? Why did it have to end that way? Like, Like this reads more like a actual canon episode where it just ends on like something silly or goofy. When the Lunaverse is like more mature than that. Like it's it's tonally it's tonally off putting because it's trying to be funny in like a world where this type of ending just simply doesn't work. I don't know why. Like even when you get into like characters, like there's a spring bay, but they're essentially flat characters because there's just nothing to them. They just basically host the challenges and then move on. It's just nothing. I mean the random like even the random cameo from Andrea. I think this is around. It kind of makes sense because I think at the time this was written around the time where Andrea was. Hold on, I'm actually gonna look. Contest of Champions. Where does this story 2017? 2017. No, this story takes place before Andrea is like revealed to be one of the villains. So yeah, so why assume the whole thing? Because for all I know, the author could have written this, and Frederick could have been the Alkheim rat. I don't know. Yeah. What if I was Frederick? Oh, that makes it even worse because the whole thing is now you're just basically screw the entire premise of the story over. Thankfully, that's not. It was Andrea, and Andrea just cameo in the story, and she's kind of like the one they have to rescue. I think it's even like the fight with the ghouls because for some reason the ghouls have come back. No idea fucking why. And this time they're just randomly mutated ghouls like with animal parts, and that doesn't make any sense. Why? Uh, the Fays are just one note characters. The characters that introduced are one note. Like the stories like gets like random gags. Grammar wise, it's fun. Like grammar wise is like the only good thing I can say about it. Pacing wise, it's too fast because all the other stories at least are long enough to showcase like the individual cultures and fake culture is definitely not explored in this story, despite the fact that it's supposed to tie into Norse mythology. Why? I don't know. This is. Uh, I didn't like this story at all. So should I just do the other three stories to all five of these because I can finish stories really quickly. Because I would recommend this. I won't recommend this. I won't recommend this. I won't recommend. No, I would kind of recommend this. I won't recommend this, and I won't recommend this because no, I can't recommend past remnants either. Okay, I'm gonna do all. I'm gonna do all five, but this is gonna be a speed round because these stories are completely worthless because they're all super reliant on season two ending. So, hey, plot wise, Lyra and Bama get inadvertently dragged to this place, this underground kingdom called that was run by these species called the Saurians, and Luna and Celestia are there, and Celestia's trying to get like called up by this guy named the Watcher. It's like, you two make up. It's like no. Meanwhile, Luna's like, please no. Basically, the Watcher found this golem that they like, can you please just take it out? Can you please like shut this down? I will let the girls go because guess what? Bottom of Lyra were dragged there inadvertently, and then this random pony named Professor. Where the fuck is it? What the fuck is this? Yeah, Professor Ritter, who's definitely not Professor Caballeron from the Daring Do series. Totally not. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Is being manipulated by the ghost of another Saurian emperor to turn on the War Golem and basically kind of finish what they started. Luna and Celestia technically have to work together to basically defeat the Golem, and then it kind of like, oh, he's been stuck in the body for a long time. Well, wouldn't it make more sense for his Emperor to kind of bother him, and how he's just getting like annoyed by the Watcher, who's like technically his boss. I mean, plot-wise, the story's fine. It does focus on the princesses. I have no idea why Lyra and Bonbon's there, because they're largely unnecessary besides the finale. Because the only reason why technically Luna and Celestia win is because Lyra's there to kind of distract, to kind of at least aid in the fact of trying to defeat it. But then Luna and it's such a minor moment of like trying to get the saber-toothed tigers free. That's just like you could have just done that with Luna and Celestia by themselves. Character. I mean, yeah, this is largely a nothing story because the Doctor doesn't add anything besides getting the Saurians. In terms of culture, the Saurians, they just one flashback, and that's all you get when the Saurians, because guess what? Saurians are long dead besides the two ghosts. This doesn't really tie into the finale, the season 2 finale until the very end, where Discord shows up, because, oh yeah, it's like, wait a minute, I'm seeing something in Canterlot. I'm seeing, wait, who's saying that? No, gotta wait for the finale. But no, I'm blind. Oh, the guy named Watcher is now blind. Oh yeah, it's a sarcastic laugh. Yeah. Yeah. Character-wise, Watcher's fine. He's just a very grumpy old lizard ghost thing. It's kind of hard to describe Watcher, but outside of reading it, he's fine. I think it's fine. Celestia and Luna, I think are good characters. They do. This one does hammer home like the fact that Celestia is mentally kind of progressing. She is getting like better mental wise, but again, that was going to be something that was like finished with Discord mind raping Celestia. Mm-hmm. Fire and Bonbon, they're fine too. They do like a little lover spat, but like Bonbon's been like so irrelevant. And this is literally the only story where Lyra's like a key focus. I can't even count Lords and Ladies because Lords and Ladies is just a shit show. But it's fine. Lyra and Bonbon's role are fine. Watcher's fine. I like Luna and Celestia. Their whole Luna continuously trying to patch things up with Celestia, and Celestia's like, "Are you going to abdicate the throne?" No. It's like, okay, then no. It works. Pacing wise, I think it's paced perfectly well. It's not meant to be a deep story. It's meant to more focus on like showcasing that Celestia is getting better mentally, and also kind of touch on the Saurians a little bit that were mentioned in Contest of Champions. I think it's fine. Pacing wise, fine. Grammar wise, fine. Shadow and Crystal, the story sucks. Moving on. From the depths, this story sucks. I'm sorry, let me go back. Shadow and Crystal, this story stars Cherylee and Spike going to the Crystal Empire. They run into Yangan and Celestia, who are doing like a campaign to try and raise Celestia standing among the Crystal Ponies because, Celestia technically destroyed Sombra. So therefore, let's do like a little PR campaign. The Crystal Ponies don't really hate me as much as the regular ponies do. And even Chronos do like the whole thing where like she looks like regular Celestia. It's like, nope, not getting involved. And Cherry is like, nope, not getting involved. But however, Spike wants to get involved. It's like, no, we gotta stop her. It's like, but I'm here to help you. It's like, we gotta stop her. It's like, no. Like, but no. And then Spike does it anyway, and then just kind of like basically just calls Celestia mean names. It's like, she's a meanie head who made me get big and made me destroy stuff. And she looks at me funny. He's like, is this true? Do you look at him funny? She's like, do something, dang it. Mi odio te despeño. Dang it! I don't know what to do. This is bad PR. And there's a little moment where Lee tries to get like apologize to Yangan, but Yangan's not having it. And also, there's like a shadow butterfly that was like that has the remnants of Sombra's power, which makes no fucking sense because Celestia's whole because it was established that Celestia fucking nuked the Crystal Empire and Sombra. So even like a shit little like a little insect that just has like shadow appendages attached to it doesn't make sense narrative wise. Character wise, I don't like any of the characters are bland. Like Charlie and Spike, I understand why they went there. Basically, Spike's got kind of bummed out over the events of the Forge. And Charlie's like, well, there's a dragon that lives in the Crystal Empire who kind of grew up with ponies. So you can talk to him and learn something. He does. I mean, for character arc, that's fine. It's very bare bones because the short story is so short. Which I get why, because we're not talking about cultures anymore, and the Crystal Empire, I think, is completely irrelevant to like the whole thing. Because Cadence and Shiny Armor don't run it; they run Cavalia. Cadence runs Cavalia, not this place. Celestia and Yangan are fine. Like they're doing a whole campaign thing. And Celestia's just having to like put up with Charlie. It's like, okay, one of you's here. Is it just you? It's just me. I'm trying to help Spike. It's like, all right, you do your thing, I do mine. It's like, okay. 5 minutes later, chase me! No. And she's like, put her over that. It's like, oh, well, we tried. And even Yangan's like does the whole thing where like when the plan goes awry, she's worried that Celestia's gonna beat the shit out of her. It's like, oh, you don't want to be friends with me anymore. It's like, oh, you messed up. Well, I don't make mistakes. I just back up. It's like really? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Grammar wise, I think there was no. I don't think there was any grammar errors. Pace wise, the story is really fast paced. Like it's way too short to be telling a story it's trying to tell, because you're trying to continue the plot line of Charlie enslaving Yangan and from chasing smoke, but it's barely brought up. And when it's brought up, it's rushed through. The whole Celestia getting campaigned, like the Shadow Butterfly is such an unnecessary detail of just trying to install conflict when the story really didn't need anything like that. It really didn't. Charlie getting her own story because I think this is like the only story where like a single member of the main six is the main character is like mentioned. I think like all the other main six are just kind of resting. I think, but yeah, it's too short to make much anything. Like all the stories just rush through. And finally, from the depths, the story stars Cadence defending her home of Cavalia from this thing called Squark, which is a creature from season 1 of My Little Pony. From Gen 1 of My Little Pony, not season 1. And the story is just a fight. It's just a fight between Cadence and Squark because Celestia, wanting to test Cadence's power, unseals Squark specifically to fight Cadence. And while that fight's happening, he's like, I'm just gonna take the Flashstone amulet, which is like the thing that Squark was able to use to fight against both Celestia and Luna on even ground. I'll let you fight him, and depending on what happens, we'll go from there. And the middle chapter is just the fight, and then the chapter after that is Cadence finding out that Celestia just did the whole thing and snuck in, and I had the Flashstone amulet. Bye, and then just leaving Cadence alone. It's a nothing story. I think the fight was fine though. In terms of character, it's bare bones. The only thing you really get is the Cadence is really protective of the country of Cavalia, which is fine. I think it's very shallow character wise, but this is like a very shallow story. Grammar wise, I think it's fine. Pace wise, it's literally just a fight, a single fight. The first chapter is just set up for the fight. Second chapter is the fight. The third chapter is just clean, like finishing up the whole thing with Celestia. That's it. I think it's pretty perfectly for what it's trying to tell. Yeah, that's really it. Yeah, I told you these would be quick. So, would I recommend these stories? Yes. No. Big no. Yes, if you want to hear the if you want to do it. No. And no technically because it's supposed to tie into the finale. But if you wanna read like a good written fight, yeah, go ahead. Favorite parts? None, none, none. I guess the Discord cameo in the end is fine enough. No and no. Now let's sit with the Lunaverse. It kind of ends on a damp note. A very, very damp note. I will see you next time. This has been Dark Symphony 777. And finally, no more ponies. Ah, son of a bitch!